You can measure the size of an elephant. You can clock the speed of a cheetah, but you can't quantify the heart of a kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome to Dr. Boxing Talk. Stream starts now.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. If I tell you I'm no good, you know I'm lying.
Yo, 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 yo. What it do, what it do, what it do. We in the building. How about you? Oh, we all in the building, man. What it do, what it do, what it do. Good evening to you wonderful, beautiful people out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and lads, brethren and sisters, boys and girls, prince and princesses, kings and queens, and everything in between. Y'all know what time it is. A doctor's in the house. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, man, my boy coming in showing love. He coming in heavy with the graffiti on the chat walls, man. Look at my boy Clone, man, dropping that bread, that cheese, that butter. Let me tell you about my boy, man. I be getting love, man. Shout out to my boy Clone, man. What a way to start off the stream with the graffiti on the chat walls as a small channel. That's why they be hating on us, chat, because we got the love that they can't attain. We got the love that you can't fake. We get the hustle off the muscle. We get that strong love. You know what I'm talking about? That man love. Pause. Man love is crazy.
No, did he?
Hey, yo, come on. See, we got to say our prayers, man. Come on, bro. You can't start off with the nonsense, bro. He said, let's start this thing off. Try to reach Take's team to tell him not to take the fight. We got bigger fish to fry, and haters like Doc can't keep us back. That's crazy, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's start off with our prayer, man. Yeah, that's a no diddy, bro. Pause. Before we get started, let's go ahead and say our prayers. You know, and then we'll hit the roll call and get right to it, man. Go ahead, join me. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for bringing us to this wonderful day that you allowed us to live through, that you allowed us to conquer. No matter how low or sad or down or dark it may be for us, Lord, we want to always keep in mind to look up towards you and give all our burdens and our stresses and our fears and our worries to you. And that's how they get taken care of, Lord. We ask you for the strength to keep going, the strength to keep a positive mindset, the strength to do our part to help not just our situation but others as well. Be a positive influence in this world. Be a light to somebody on somebody's journey that they might be battling, that might be treacherous, tumultuous, and a difficult journey. Please let us be that person that can give them a helping hand, and also put somebody there that can help us along our journey as well when in our time of need. So we thank you for your blessings, Lord. We ask you that that you give us the strength and the ability to utilize our blessings to the fullest, and just forgive us of our sins and of our many sins, and just continue to guide us and give us physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and financial health as well. Through Jesus' name, amen. Amen, amen, man. Shout out to my guy Oscar in the building. You know what I'm saying? Big member in the building. We got my boy Clone in the building. Big member in the building. Talking about, let's start this off right. Shout out to you, bro. I appreciate you starting it off right, man. Let's go. Starting this off right, trying to reach Tank's team to tell them not to take the fight, bro. Come on, man. Tank got to fight Lamont Rose, bro. He has to, bro. We got bigger fish to fry, and haters like Doc can't keep us back. No, bro. He has to fight him, man. Flatbush in the building, my brethren. Okay, we got King Grayson in the building. Let's get right. He said, I'm going to refund my super chat. Hey, my boy out here hating, man. Don't refund it, man. Don't refund it, man. I'm talking about like that grown man stuff, man. Friendship and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Fellowship, bro. Come on, bro. Relax, bro. Relax. Relax, bro. We got Brian Holiday in the building. He said, no, that trial is crazy. Yeah, no Diddy, man. Come on, man. I don't care if his name Sheeraz, Berlanga and 5. That's a fact. We got 2-4 big member in the building. Yes, sir, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Don't forget to smack that like button when you're here. You know what I'm saying? As you walk in the door, man. You know, it's like when you walk in somebody's house, man, you wipe your foot. Your foots. Not feet, your foots on the doormat, right? You might remove your shoes. Okay, so when you come in the cribbo in the doctor's house, smack that like button for your boy, man. It's real easy, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy Oscar Perez dropping that bread, that cheese, that butter. Oscar said he don't care if he's missing a lung, he's overdone, or he's fighting his son. Berlanga and 1. Shout out to my guy Oscar, bro. I appreciate the love, man. Shout out to y'all dropping the graffiti on the chat walls, man. I be getting a lot of love, man. I appreciate it, bro. Did he about to Flatbush? Chill out, bro. Chill out, bro. Oh, you talking about for the actual case? Yeah, he might. Hey. You never know, man. But yeah, man. Before we get started, man, into the thick of things, I want to talk about Sam Goodman, man. Sam Goodman. I know y'all watched the press conference with Shakur and Edgar Berlanga. We're going to get into that, please believe. But Sam Goodman, he had a fight. I meant to talk about this yesterday, but I forgot, or this morning. But, you know, Sam Goodman had a fight against Vaca, Cesar Vaca, and he won, you know, by unanimous decision. And, but the crazy part is that he got cut again, you know, and so it makes me think like, dang, you know, because a lot of people were questioning the legitimacy of his injury, right? If he was just playing, because he had to pull out of the Naoya Inoue fight twice, you know, not once, but twice. And so people are like, oh, he was scared. And I always said this, man, I just think it's more so karma, because like I told y'all, Sam Goodman is the #1 ranked guy in the IBF and the WBO, or he was, but he was never the ordered mandatory. Same way David Allen Picasso Romero. He was #1 in the WBC, but he was never the ordered mandatory. MJ Akbadalev was the ordered mandatory, and Naoya Inoue was just ignoring him. So I always looked at it as just like people blame Sam Goodman. Of course, it seems like he's messing around and dragging his feet, but I think that's just karma, man. You know, you're trying to avoid the guy you should be fighting, and the guy that you wanted to fight couldn't fight you. And then the other guy you tried to fight, Picasso Romero, said, I'm not going. You being skimpy with the change, my brother. So I just always thought that was funny. But it does seem to show that a lot of people question his eye injury. I think if I'm not mistaken, I only watched the highlights. I did not watch the whole fight. But he cut himself on both eyes. You know, he had 2 cuts, man. But he did win. So shout out to him. He's still pursuing Naoya Inoue. I'm not even interested in that fight anymore. I could care less. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's still a good fight. I think Naoya Inoue beats him. But especially with the fact that he's susceptible to cuts, right? I'm just not even interested, man. Let that thing go. I'm over it. So but I will say though, you know, if he is getting cut, he might really he might really be like he might not be faking it, you know. But I'll say this though, his fight was in Australia again, so that's why it's like Bro, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Sam Goodman has ever fought outside of Australia. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, it's like when Ja Battaglia, his Australian countryman, is fighting Claudio Squeo, a guy who's never fought outside of Italy. It's like, yeah, you're undefeated, but are you really? You see what I'm saying? Like when you fight in the same location, then it's kind of like it gets a little suspicious. Like when you're just starting out, you got your first 10 fights at your crib, ain't nothing wrong with that. But then, you know what I'm saying, then you start to branch out. Then, you know what I'm saying, leave your city, leave your country, you know what I'm talking about, and then maybe, you know, go different places. But if you have all your fights in a centralized location, it looks a little suspicious for those of you that watch boxing like myself. And, you know, we know what that means, you know, things might be a little set up. So we'll see how it goes, though, man. But like I said, I lost interest in the Sam Goodman fight, but I wouldn't mind it if now, in a way, you know, he has his 3 fights planned out, being MJ Akhmadaliev in September, Galore willing, then potentially Nick Ball in December, and then potentially Junto Nakatani. But say one of those plans get derailed and he fights Sam Goodman, I'm cool with that. You know, if he fights David Allen, Picasso Romero, I'm cool with that. Or Elijah Pierce or somebody like that, I'm cool with that, man. Shout out to my guy Oster, man. Big member in the building. He says, shout out to Mike Coppinger. Shout out to my guy Isaiah, man. Shout out to Isaiah, you feel me? Big member in the building. We got Dub the Thug McCullough in the building. God bless you as well, my brother. God bless you as well. We got HLNY in the building. What up? He says Sam Goodman is out of the loop at this point. I feel like, yeah, I agree. I mean, if he fights him, I'm cool with it, but it's not something that I'm like anticipating. You know what I'm saying? I agree, HLNY. But yeah, man. So, yeah, speaking of Mike Coppinger, man, I want to shift gears. Isaiah, right on time as usual, man. I want to show y'all what this guy said about Shakur Stevenson. Wait, y'all want to talk about Edgar Berlanga or Shakur first? Let's talk about Shakur. You know, let's talk about Shakur. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about Shakur. So check this out, man. This is not Shakur's fault, by the way. But this guy had this to say in regards to Shakur. I'm talking about they were full of praise for Shakur. And that's dope because you don't ever see it that much. But check out what my boy just said right here. Mr. Eric Gomez said about Shakur Stevenson.
You know, you have William Zepeda. His output is incredible.
Yeah, we know that. His output is incredible. Throws punches in bunches, a high-volume puncher. You know what I'm talking about? You know, we excited to see that. He throws like something like 50,599,201 punches per round. So we want to see that, right? Especially with Shakur. We'll see if we can make him fight. But look at the praise he bestowed upon Shakur.
Edgar Berlanga, you know, one of the most exciting fighters in boxing today.
And that's a fact. Edgar Berlanga is one of the most exciting boxers in boxing, right? Because he did start off his career, his illustrious, well, initially illustrious career, not so much now. You know, he did fight Cinnamon, you know, but his illustrious career, he started off with 16 wins in 16 rounds, 16 knockouts. That's crazy, bro. 16 consecutive knockouts in 16 consecutive rounds, bro. His 17th professional fight was his 17th round of boxing. Do you know how crazy that is? So I don't care if he was fighting tomato cans. I don't care if he's fighting Uber drivers. I don't care if he's fighting your gardener, your next door neighbor, your auntie, your gosh dang kindergarten teacher. I don't care. The fact that he's knocking out 16 people in less than 3 minutes consecutively, that we got to applaud that, man. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Edgar Berlanga for that. But we knew because when he started stepping up in the competition, right, the higher caliber of opponents, his knockouts didn't just slow down. They stopped. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is a clear testament that he was fighting guys that were subpar. However, it's still impressive to knock out 16 people in 3 minutes. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep it going.
And Shakur, obviously. I mean, Shakur...
Hey, listen to what he says about Shakur now.
...is arguably the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather.
You see, if he would have stopped right, gosh dang there. If he would have said Shakur is the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather and stopped, hard stop, period, I'd have been cool. But then he gets I don't know what he on, bro. I don't know if that juice he's sipping on tasted good. You see the little water bottle, that hey, he might have more than water in there. You know what I'm saying? He might be at the Fat Tuesdays that got him a little wet willy in there. You know what I'm talking about? Because he drunk on something. Listen to what he says after this. He could have stopped right there. I'm cool with that. He's the next best thing since Floyd Mayweather, right? He's very close to Floyd Mayweather. Listen to what he says.
If not better. And that's how good he is. So these fighters are...
If not what? If not
the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather. If not better.
And he repeated it. He doubled down. He said, the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather, if not better. If not better. Bitches, you crazy? You talk about the Hall of Fame, Floyd Mayweather. You talk about Floyd Money Mayweather, a.k.a. Pretty Boy Floyd, a.k.a. I got more money than you, a.k.a. I beat Ricky Hatton, a.k.a. I beat Manny Pacquiao, a.k.a. I beat Saul Canelo Alvarez, a.k.a. I beat Sugar Shane Mosley, a.k.a. I beat Diego Corrales, rest in peace, a.k.a. I beat Juan Manuel Marquez, a.k.a. I have so many Hall of Famers on my resume. That's what you're talking about? That's a premature compliment at best. You know, and I'm being nice. Now, I understand the comparison he's making because he's talking about how seldomly he gets hit. And Shakur is a beast, but there's nobody at the 135-pound division that could be compared to Floyd. There's nobody in boxing right now besides Cinnamon that could probably be compared to Floyd as far as how many champions they fought. Now, if you want to talk about what they accomplished, of course, you could talk about Terrence Bud Crawford being of that same cloth, Alexander Usyk, Saul Canelo Alvarez, Naya in a way with their accomplishments and stuff like that. But Floyd was a beast. And I just thought that was a little outrageous for a guy whose best win is arguably Oscar Valdez. No disrespect, that's not a bad win. But when his top 3 wins are probably Jamel Herring, right? You can agree. And then Oscar Valdez, y'all could agree, right? And then who's his 3rd best win? I don't know. Who would be his 3rd best win? Artem Harchigi. Nah, I don't know, you know. So but he's good though. Don't get me wrong, he's good. So next up we hear Eddie Hearn say, oh man, Shakur is the best at 135. I disagree. I think Gervonta Tank Davis is the best at 135. However, if you want to say that he's better than him, I have no problem with that, because to me, it's 1 at Gervonta Tank Davis and number 2 Shakur Stevenson. And if you favor Shakur, that's cool, because Shakur does not have a draw. So he has no blemish on his record, even though a draw is not a loss. But we saw Gervonta Tank Davis, he didn't look that good against Lamont Roach, right? And last time we saw Shakur not look that good was against Edward De Los Santos, but he still won. Tank didn't look that good, and he had a draw. So if you want to give the edge to Shakur, cool. And they all have one piece of the hardware, right? Lomachenko has the IBF title, Tank has a WBA title, Shakur has a WBC title, and Keyshawn has a WBO title. So if you want to put Shakur at the front, that's cool. If you want to put Tank in the front, that's cool. But what you're not gonna do is compare him to Floyd Mayweather. That's nuts. That's insane. But I don't have any problem. I disagree that Shakur is the best at 135. I think Gervonta Tank Davis is. But if you want to ask me, would I listen to an argument that can legitimately be made for Shakur? I have no problem, because Shakur is one of 4 champions and he is undefeated and he looks very dominant. You know what I'm saying, in his fights. So I have no problem with that. But we got to slow down with the Floyd joints. We got to slow down with that, my brother. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to my guy, Ryan Frazier, Boxing Talk up north, man. Go hit my boy, Big North, with a follow, man. Shout out to my boy, Ryan Frazier, man. Oh, my gosh, I got an echo. Sorry about that. Yes, sir. Shout out to my guy, man. But I don't know if you were here, Ryan, but I want to thank you for helping me hit the goal this morning, man, because those words of encouragement when you encouraged everybody to help me hit the goal this morning, man, meant a lot, man. So big salute, because we did hit the goal. I know you had to go and do your thing on your show and on the Boxing Voice as well, man. You hold it down. But I just want to thank you for that, man. So shout out to everybody that contributes to the stream. He said the nasty comparison to Floyd was to say, you feel me, Isaiah? Flatboy said better than Mayweather. That's blasphemy. Crazy. Like I said, if you want to talk about, you know, the fact that, you know, Shakur practices the art of hit and not get hit, we got to give him credit for that. That's why I say he's one of the best, man. I'm not the biggest fan of Shakur, but I love boxing, man. I love the fact, despite what other people feel, and I'm not invalidating your feelings. If that's how you think he's boring, cool, you know. But I'm a type of brother that I watch the NBA and I love watching the Miami Heat with LeBron and D Wade. But I also like watching Tim Duncan and the Spurs too, and big fundamentals. You know what I'm saying? I could appreciate the different styles that people are successful with. So yes, Tank is the one that produces highlights. Canelo produces highlights. Guys that are big knockout artists produce highlights. But I could appreciate the beauty and the art of fighting in a different style and hitting and not get hit. I could appreciate that, you know. So I'm not saying it's the most exciting, most intriguing, but I could appreciate the different styles that you could be successful with. I think that we need that, because if everybody fought like Tank, don't you think boxing would be boring? No disrespect to Tank. I'm just saying, I don't want to see a whole bunch of Tank clones. I even hate the fact that they call John Arobio Tank 2.0, or Jersley Vargas Tank 2.0, or Carmel Moulton Tank 2.0. No, let Carmel Moulton be Carmel 1.0. Stop trying to make these guys be shadows of each other, man. Let them be who they are and be exciting or not as exciting, or be flat-footed, or be elusive, or be a runner, or be a knockout artist, or be somebody that sets up traps, or be somebody that has Philly shell defense, or walks you down, or whatever it is. Let them be who they are, bro. Like, we got to stop it, man. There's always more than one way to skin the cat, and that's why I like the different styles of boxing, man. Because you don't have to fight like Shakur to be successful. You don't have to fight like Inoue to be successful. You don't have to fight like Bud to be successful. You don't have to fight like Usyk. You don't have to fight like Floyd. You don't have to fight like Manny Pacquiao. You don't have to fight like Vladimir Klitschko. You could fight any way you want, and as long as you're great, you should respect it. You could be successful, bro. So that's why I like it. That's why I love boxing. I like the different styles. But anyway, speaking of that, in the same press conference, man, This man Eddie Hearn says that Shakur is the best. Like I said, I disagree, but I don't have a problem with it. But he says in the press conference that Shakur and Zepeda, you know, because Shakur is defending his WBC belt at 135 against William Zepeda, the guy who was formerly the undisputed mandatory, meaning he was a mandatory for the IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO, and he still didn't get a title shot. So that means there's no other way to say it, but he was ducking. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to say it was Zepeda was ducking, or Coach Panda was ducking, or Oscar De La Hoya's promoter was ducking, he was ducking. So either way you want to cut it, they were ducking. But shout out to Zepeda. I like El Camarón, the shrimp. He's an exciting fighter. You know what I'm saying? I'm over that now, and the fact that they're fighting. Hopefully the fight does happen, and there's nothing that transpires like an illness or an injury that keeps them out of the fight with each other. So you know, I'm very forgiving. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk about you now when you're doing it, but I'm gonna celebrate you as well when you tighten up. We got my boy Omari in the building. What's good, young Prince? Oscar said why the translator had to cut out. Yeah, man, I didn't like that either, man. I saw when you put that. I didn't like that either, that he cut out that you know, shout to Zepeda. You know, he's, like I said, he's not a bad person, you know. At least I don't think so. It's just that it is what it is. He didn't want a title shot, but now he's definitely taking the opportunity. So I think it's gonna be a great fight, man. But I didn't like how the translator didn't put in fully translate Zepeda's words, and I saw when Oscar put that in the Discord, and I also noticed it myself too. I'm like, hold on, he didn't translate everything. I didn't catch everything because, you know, I understand Spanish, but sometimes it goes a little fast, and I can't keep up, you know. But I recognize he said something else, and the guy didn't translate it. And it's just trying to, I don't know, man. Just try to push a narrative that these guys don't like each other, these guys hate each other, whatever. It's like, bro, they think they're gonna win, but they're not really disrespectful to each other, man. So shout out to Zepeda for bigging up Shakur, and Shakur for also complimenting Zepeda. But anyway, Eddie Hearn was like, yeah, he wants this fight to be for the Ring Magazine belt. Excuse me, say what? Eddie Hearn says that he wants this fight to be for the Ring Magazine belt.
What?
My brother, that's not how it works. Could it be for the Ring Magazine belt? Yeah, if Shakur was actually ranked #1 like you think he should be. But the Ring Magazine just dropped some rankings, and Shakur's not ranked #1, nor is Zepeda ranked #2. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Ring Magazine belt, the Ring Magazine, what it usually stands for historically, was the lineal champion, meaning the guy who beat the guy, who beat the guy, who beat the guy. You know what I'm saying? So they're definitively the man according to the eyes of the public, right? So it's in conjunction with who has the alphabet belts, but also it's kind of separate as well. You know, so for example, there's other ways around it too, to where you don't have to beat the guy that beat the guy, because sometimes there's not always a guy there. Like sometimes the line gets broken. For example, Zepeda is the Ring Magazine belt champion, right? He didn't beat the guy who beat the guy. He beat Maris Bradis, but if you remember right, Maris Bradis was never the guy because Usyk was in cruiserweight. But then when Usyk beat Maris Bradis and he unified or got undisputed at cruiserweight, he left. So he kind of broke that lineage, right? And then Zepeda fought the guy who was the next best, and Maris Bradis, and beat him. Therefore, those guys were highly ranked, and so he got the Ring Magazine belt. Another example, the Ring Magazine belt of a guy who didn't beat the guy, you know, because obviously Terrence Crawford was a guy at 147, meaning he was undisputed, right? But when Jaron Boots Ennis and Amantas Stanionis fought, Stanionis, a Lithuanian champion who had the WBA belt, against the American champion and Jaron Boots Ennis, who had the IBF belt, when they fought for unification. But Jaron Boots Ennis was ranked #1 in the Ring Magazine, and Stanionis was ranked #2. Therefore, when the top guy and the next top guy, the 1 and 2 guy, fight each other for a vacant, when they fight each other and there's a vacant ring title, then they are also fighting for the Ring Magazine belt. So that's why Jaron Boots Ennis is now the WBA, IBF, and the Ring Magazine belt champion. So let's go back to where we're at with Shakur Stevenson, right? Bitch, they ain't no guy. You know, because Keyshawn Davis has a WBO belt, Lomachenko has an IBF belt, Shakur Stevenson has a WBC belt, Gervonta Tank Davis has a WBA belt. There's a vacant Ring Magazine title there. And Zepeda is not ranked #1 or 2, and Shakur is not ranked #1 or 2. So how could this be for the Ring Magazine belt? So, but I want to tell you, this is boxing. Don't be surprised. You know, Eddie Hearn and Big Turk, Al Sheikh, they're like this. Or should I say they be holding hands, so they're more like this. You know what I'm saying? They be rubbing on each other's thigh meat and all that stuff. You know how they go. You know, they be fondling the thigh meats and stuff like that. So don't be surprised if somehow, some way, Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda may have the WBC belt and the Ring Magazine belt up for grabs. And that's the way boxing's becoming, man. It's becoming such the wild, wild west that it's crazy, bro. So like I said, that's not how it's supposed to go. But you know, sometimes in boxing we see things that aren't supposed to happen. You know, like Nonito Donaire come out of nowhere and be ranked number 5 in the WBA at the bantamweight division at 118, and like Conor Benn, who never fought at 154, be ranked number 5 in the IBF after coming off of a loss to a guy at 160 and Chris Eubank Jr. And we see a guy like Manny Pacquiao who ain't fighting 4 years, and when he did fight 4 years ago, he lost to Yordenis Ugas, but yet he popped back up in the rankings at number 5 for the WBC at welterweight division. So we see crazy stuff like this transpire all the time. So don't be surprised if it gets approved, magically gets approved for a Ring Magazine belt, which that'd be crazy, but it's not supposed to go like that, you know. That'd be wild though, man. But shout out to Oscar, man. Yeah, shout out to Zepeda was saying some good stuff on behalf of Shakur. I think Shakur saying he's gonna step on him. I'm gonna be honest, man. I like Shakur for his skills. I don't really like Shakur's personality and stuff, but he did do something funny today. Oh my goodness, this junk had me rolling. I can't show the whole interview because I'll probably get copyrighted, and we don't like copyrights, right? We like to make our little pennies, you know. We like to make our little penties, you know. So let's see what he said right here. I love this energy though. Listen to what he says right here. This is Mike Coppinger, a former ESPN contributor, lead writer. Now he was bought out by the Ring Magazine. You know, Turkey Al Sheikh doing his thing, you know, and so he hired Mike Coppinger. You see a lot of content creators as well being on the Ring Magazine, you know, so shout out to them, man. They need to come holler at your boy. Let me get some of that gosh dang Saudi Arabia money, you know what I'm saying, man? Hey, let me get a little piece of the change since you're spreading it out. But anyway, this is what Shakur did, and I love this. Look what he said.
12th against William Zepeda when he defends his WBC lightweight title in New York City.
And by far the worst commentator ever.
He said this is by far the worst commentator ever, chat. Please go watch this interview.
WBC lightweight
Please
title
watch it.
in New York City.
And by far the worst commentator ever.
Thanks, Shakur.
Thanks, Shakur. Bro, that's just a little taste of it, chat. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Y'all go watch this at your own time. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I love Shakur for it because shout out to Mike Coppinger. I have nothing against Mike Coppinger, you know it. And a lot of these guys, ladies and gentlemen, they be doing their job. You know, they're company men and women, so they get stuff whispered in their ear, including Tim Bradley's corny behind, including Paulie Malignaggi's corny behind. You know, sometimes, you know, they give good takes and they have great analysis. Like Tim Bradley, when he wants to be, he's great. Paulie Malignaggi's great too. But when Paulie Malignaggi talk about Cinnamon or he's talking about Gervonta Tank Davis, it's like he has an outer body negative experience and he cannot give an honest take on those guys. You know, I don't know if he's bitter or what it is, but it's like when it comes to certain people, you can hear the bias in them, and I can't stand that. So, but other than that, you know, yeah, Tim Bradley's a genius. And he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. You know, one of my favorite fights ever was Tim Bradley versus Ruslan Provatnikov. But when he's commentating, man, it's just so clearly biased. And his own commentators are terrible, bro. For Sergio Moore to Chris Mannix. Sergio Moore is another good guy. I met him. We had a good, like, 30-minute conversation, man. Dope dude. The Latin snake. Fire. You know what I'm saying? But as a commentator, bro, I can't stand when people, like, skew the truth. And they're just, like, clearly biased to one promotion or one fighter. And they don't even they don't even try to get out. They don't even try to demonstrate integrity. You know what I'm saying? That joke is kind of whack. But yeah, so shout out to Shakur. This is what Shakur said though. Throughout the entire interview, he was just like, yeah, man. He was basically saying how terrible Mike Coppinger was, and he called him out for saying that he wasn't a good fighter and he wasn't pound for pound, or not pound for pound, but he was boring and that he was going to lose to Zepeda. I thought it was pretty funny. Like I said, this coming from me. I'm not the biggest Shakur fan because I think as far as a personality goes, from what I see, obviously I don't know him personally and never met him, but you know, just hearing interviews and see him on Twitter, I feel like he's too sensitive, you know? I feel like he's overly sensitive. He's kind of like, I don't know. He just seems like a spoiled kid, you know what I'm saying? To me, that's how he comes off to me, but I could separate that. That's personal stuff. He doesn't do anything like, you know, he's a consummate professional. He doesn't violate the sport. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't say anything discriminatory towards any type of nationality, ethnicity, race, or gender or religion. So he doesn't do anything that could make me dislike him a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not very, I want to say I dislike him. I just don't necessarily like him. You see the difference? I don't have like any animosity towards him, but I just don't really care for him. But as far as his skills as on the boxing field or in the boxing ring, that square circle, he's a beast. You know what I'm saying? I could separate the two. So I definitely have Shakur winning against Zepeda when they fight. Oscar says, well, if Tank fights Jake Paul, I could see it happen, but it shouldn't happen. Yeah, that's a good point. If Tank fights an exhibition, I mean, it should be treated separately. But if he takes a large amount of time off, then yeah, the rankings change accordingly. Just like when you fight somebody, bro, and depending on how you perform, Tank, and a lot of people drop Tank off the pound for pound list because he had a draw with Lamar Roach. You know what I'm saying? It is based on your caliber of opponent. It's based on the results. It's based on what you did for me lately. In addition to your body of work. Real Talk said, Real Talk comment was good. He said, didn't Turk buy Ring Magazine? Yeah, he owns Ring Magazine. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw it on the line for optics. Yeah, facts. Bourne says, Tank to Lamar Roach. Tank KOs Lamar Roach. Absolutely, I agree. But we'll see. We have to see it, right? Shout out to Lamar Roach. My guy Tay said, what Mike say about Tank? In that interview, I don't think he said anything. I don't remember him saying anything. Maybe I missed it, but I watched the whole interview. So Shakur pulled his skirt up. Facts. We gonna pause that though. We gonna pause that.
No, did it?
Yeah, we gonna pause that. But yeah, I agree. We definitely gonna pause that. But yeah, man. But yeah, shout out to Oscar for catching the fact that you know, and that just shows you that, right? Like what Oscar said, how Zepeda's translator didn't, or the translator didn't express everything Zepeda said, particularly the compliments towards Shakur, because they're trying to build a narrative of hate and animosity. I'm like, bro, these are they're co-workers, and sort of co-workers, like they work together. Yeah, they're co-workers, but I mean, like, they're contemporaries. You don't necessarily have to hate each other to fight, you know what I'm saying? But that does help for the fandom. It does help for the build-up. So, you know, I get it, but that's just another example of them trying to control the narrative and manipulate even what people say about each other in real time. So shout out to Oscar for pointing that out, man. So but I will say this though, this is why I think Eddie Hearn's a great promoter, because he did say that he wants the Ring Magazine belt to be on the line. He did say that he thinks Shakur is ranked #1. He did say that he did agree that the Shakur is just as good, if not better than Floyd. But that's because that's his fighter. So, you know, I can't be mad at that. You know what I'm saying? I can't be mad. I think it's funny. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a flat out a lie and utter bullshit. But I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at with the promoter doing their job. You know, I will speak on it and react to it, but I'm not mad at it though, man. Like I said, Shakur is definitely one of those guys that should be on the pound for pound list. And if not, then you got to have a pretty good reason not to have him on there. And he could be considered the best at 135. I'm not mad at it. I just disagree. No Diddy for Eddie Hearn is crazy. No Diddy. You feel me? He said Tank has been on the top of that 135-pound division for a while in the sense of accomplishment. Shakur has been at 135 for 2 years. Yeah. And like I said, I think he should be #1 because if you look at the other champions, right? In my opinion, and like I said, Oscar could attest to this. Those of you that come to the channel, you know, bro, he apologized for Berlanga trash talk like gross balls, dude. This guy's about to fight. Yeah, he did. I'm not mad at that though, because before I get to what I was saying, Shakur and Edgar Berlanga, they're friends. You know what I'm saying? So he's saying I don't really knock him for apologizing to Berlanga. In fact, I applaud him and salute him because he's trying to say that, hey man, some of the stuff was getting taken out of context. I didn't mean it like that, and you're my boy. So if I offended you, my bad. You know, it's like when me and I get into it with somebody on the channel. And I'd be like, dang, my bad, bro. You know, I apologize if I maybe raised my voice too high or got a little too passionate. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to mess up a relationship unintentionally. Now, if you got on my nerves and I said something intentionally, I will have no problem letting you know how I feel. But I don't really like to offend people unintentionally. You see what I'm saying? So I don't really think that him apologizing to Edgar Berlanga is a bad thing because they have a friendship. You know what I'm saying? I can show you videos of them when they're like 15 and 16 with their shirts off in the hotel room looking crazy, singing the R&B song. I think it was Usher. You know what I'm saying? They look crazy.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, they look wild. Go look it up. I'm not lying. I'm not making this up. They got Shakur Stevenson and Edgar Berlanga. They was young, though. They was young. You know, they was young. But they did have their shirts off for singing R&B hits in the camera. Slow motion, rubbing their chests. So my point of saying that is that they're friends. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind the apology. You know, I don't think it was bad. But of course, people, if you don't like Shakur or if you don't, people will have stuff to say, you know, but I don't think that's a bad thing. What you mean you don't know who's unified right now? The 135-pound division. Shakur resume is good at 130. 135, it's okay in my opinion. I'm not mad at it though, you know, because like I said, what I was gonna say is that in my personal opinion, I think that the top 4 guys should be the 4 champions. So I had a problem when the other day, I can't remember who it was. This is before Keyshawn Davis was a champion, right? I can't, don't quote me on the exact numbers, but they had Tank #1, Shakur #2, Lomachenko #3, and Keyshawn #4, and Zepeda #5, and they had Berinchik #6. Huh?
What?
So you got Gervonta Tank Davis, a WBA champion, undefeated #1, cool. Shakur #2, WBC champion, undefeated, cool. Lomachenko, 18 and 3. IBF champion. Cool. He's an IBF champion. Then you got Keyshawn Davis, who was an up-and-comer, undefeated, but up-and-comer. And you have Zepeda, who's a contender, but still he's not a champion. You have those two guys ranked over Berinchik, who's also an undefeated champion at the time. The Ukrainian fighter was a WBO champion. Now, I know that he may not have the opponents, but at that time, neither really did Keyshawn Davis and Zepeda. So I just think that's messed up, you know? So in my personal opinion, the champions should always be ranked 1 through 4 if there's 4 champions. Now, whatever order you want to put them in, that's debatable. But to me, the 4 champions represent the 4 best in the division. If not, then what are we talking about? We're watering down what a champion means. You see what I'm saying? So when we're over here, we're talking about the Ring Magazine belt. It's like, I don't care if you have Shakur number 1 or Tank number 1. Me personally, I have Tank number 1. I would have Shakur number 2. I would have Keyshawn number 3 right now due to inactivity, and I'll have Lomachenko number 4 due to Lomachenko's inactivity due to his back injury, right? That might change if he comes back and says he wants to fight Raymond Morataya. But to me, there's no way you can have Zepeda or Kid Austin or Morataya over the 4 champions. That just doesn't make sense to me. So that's just how I feel about it, man. I think the champions mean something, and maybe I'm wrong for that, but I don't think I should be wrong for that. Shout out to William Haney. He said, we even offered that nigga Shakur a toilet paper contract. He still ain't signing this. He's ducking. He said, Birdman, my guy. Duh, Birdman. Stop it. William Shakur ain't ducked the fight. Y'all ran out the ring. Hey, talk to him. God bless you as well, my guy. Irony, big member in the building. One time for my Boricua brethren, define irony. That's my guy right there. El Cardinal, yes, sir. Says Keyshawn fighting De Los Santos, Shakur should fight Andy Cruz. I wouldn't be mad at that fight, but I mean, he's fighting. I like this fight with Zepeda, though, Flatbush. I love this fight, man. I think this is a great fight. Nobody should complain about this fight, regardless of the outcome. If Shakur wins and he makes it look easy, we got to applaud Shakur, because this is the guy that they said would beat Shakur. And if Zepeda beat Shakur, I don't want to hear about, no, his hands were hurting or none of that. Give Zepeda his credit, because Shakur said that, you know, when Zepeda called Shakur out habitually, multiple times, you know what I'm saying? Shakur has obliged and said he wanted that fight, and even said that William Zepeda is ducking. And I thought he was ducking Shakur too, especially after calling him out. He's pump faking with the call out. However, if you oblige, you get the fight, you cannot then tell me that, oh, my hand was messed up or something like this. We got to give Zepeda full credit, you know? So it is what it is, regardless of who wins. So I love this fight, man. I think Shakur and Zepeda is one of the best fights in boxing. And I don't say that with any exaggeration. I'm not saying it is the best. I'm saying it's one of the best, though. And now it might not end up being that way, but on paper, I think it's a great fight. And if Shakur beats him like I think he does, give him all his credit, man. He says Zepeda not being Shakur. I agree. That don't mean it's not a good fight, though. They always do this ish. Yeah, they always do. I mean, same with Jose Carlos Ramirez. Everybody was talking about how he was gonna knock out Devin Haney, and then when he didn't knock out Devin Haney, then they say, oh, Devin Haney was running. Okay, cool. We'll cut the ring off. That fight was boring as hell, right? But a former Olympian in Jose Carlos Ramirez, and a former unified champion in Jose Carlos Ramirez, and a trainer of the year, who I think is the best trainer right now, Robert Garcia, they should be able to cut the ring off. I keep the same energy. I'm not a big Devin Haney fan, but I keep the same energy, man. The guy outboxed you. It is what it is. It may have been boring, but that doesn't mean it wasn't dominant. Being dominant doesn't mean that it's exciting. Being dominant doesn't mean that it was intriguing. The man lost 1 round on my scorecard. That's dominant. That don't mean it's the most exciting. That don't mean you're going to make a TikTok highlight clip out of it or an Instagram clip, but it was still exciting. But you got to appreciate the boxing or not. You going to appreciate the sport or not. It's boxing, not knockout kings. It's boxing, not power slap. It's boxing, not see how fast you can hit me and I can hit you and see who drops first. No, it's boxing, bro. The sweet science. Hit and don't get hit. Now, we may not like it, but hey, it is what it is. I keep the same energy with Cinnamon. That's my favorite fighter right now. I was mad at Cinnamon for not cutting off the ring against William Skull. I was also mad at William Skull. They both put on a shitty performance, but it's not just one-sided. Canelo fought that fight lazy as hell. He was lazy, bro. And if you're my favorite fighter, I hold you to a standard to which you earned my fandom. You earned my support. So I like the way you fight. I did not like that performance at all. Same with Tank. When Tank had a draw, what am I saying? I say that he got to go get that back. He got to go get it back, because I think he could beat Lamont Rhodes. Go get it back. Go get it back, baby. He said, I'm giving Shakur all of his credit if he beats Zepeda, but I favor Zepeda. So, hey, I'm not mad at that, Adam. Shout out to Adam, man. My guy said, I'm giving Shakur all his credit if he beats Zepeda.
Yeah.
But I favor Zepeda slightly.
Yeah. I'm
not mad at that. Zepeda El Camarón is a good fighter, bro. Like I said, these are 2 great fighters. We got to stop doing that, man. We got to stop making it seem like, oh, it's a good fight going in, but then when one person wins, Oh, it wasn't. You don't get no credit. Oh, the guy ran the whole time. Oh, the guy didn't want to fight. Oh, his hands were hurt. Oh, he was old. Oh, he was crippled. Oh, he was sick. I don't want to hear that, bro. They're fighting. We think it's gonna be a good fight. It may not end up being a good fight, but we got to respect the victor, whether it's Zepeda or Shakur. You got to give them all their credit, bro. So when Canelo and Bud fights, if Canelo wins, I don't want to hear nothing about Bud being too small, because a lot of people think that Bud's gonna win despite being too small. And if Bud wins, I don't want to hear about Canelo being old, because a lot of people think that Canelo is gonna win because he's better and he's young enough to still do the job. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear it, but let the best man win. I personally have Cinnamon beating Bud. I think he's gonna win because I think he's too good and too big. Not saying that he's better than Bud. I think Bud is slightly more skilled, but I think Canelo is almost, if not just as skilled, and he's bigger. So I'm going with Cinnamon. I could be wrong, but no matter who wins, I'm going to give either man the credit that they deserve. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Terrence Crawford will get more credit because he's a smaller guy coming up, so it's going to be more impressive naturally. But if Canelo beats the guy that we think could beat him, then I'm going to give him his credit too. But if Terrence Crawford wins, of course, you give him more credit. Like, it's like when Roy Jones went up to fight John Ruiz at heavyweight. If John Ruiz would have won, I would have still gave John Ruiz his credit. Said, "Dang, man, he stopped the momentum and the hot streak of the phenomenal fighter in Roy Jones." But when Roy Jones won, I gave him more credit because he had the bigger challenge, because that's represented in him going up 2 levels, two weight classes to fight the bigger guy. You know what I'm saying? But we still got to give people credit now. Don't take away everything. So yeah, man, let's keep it going though, man. I think that was funny. I just think it's funny how we retroactively give and take away credit, man. It's like, come on now. Now switching gears, man, to Hamzah Sheeraz and EDGAR BERLANGA. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Chat, I think I'm about to bet money on EDGAR BERLANGA. I'm not saying that I can't believe that I'm thinking EDGAR BERLANGA is gonna win, but to put my hard-earned greenbacks on it, whoo, boy. Put money on, I never thought I'd say that. I'm about to put money on EDGAR BERLANGA. I never thought I'd say that, but I think I'm gonna put money on EDGAR BERLANGA for the stoppage, chat. I think he's gonna knock Hamzah Sheeraz's block off. You know, and it's so funny to me that I'm not saying that Hamzah Sheeraz doesn't have a chance. You know, he's a tall guy. What is he, like 6'5"? You know, but it's his first time going at 168. Maybe he's more comfortable at 168. We'll see. But he lost that fight against Carlos Adames. I think Carlos Adames is good. I think he's better than EDGAR BERLANGA, but I don't think that EDGAR BERLANGA is that far gone or that far outmatched or outclassed to where he won't be able to land a big punch. And I'm not sure Sheeraz could take a punch from a true super middleweight. You know, that's what I think. I think EDGAR BERLANGA. Yeah, I think EDGAR BERLANGA is gonna win, man. As long as he's focused, I got EDGAR BERLANGA. He said, "I got bread on BERLANGA too." You feel me, Ray B? Talk to him, Ray B. Talk to him, Ray B. We got that bread on EDGAR BERLANGA, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I got EDGAR BERLANGA putting him to sleep. I'm talking about sleep. I'm talking about deep sleep. That, what was it called? The REM sleep? REM sleep? Yeah, that one. Yeah, that type of sleep. I'm actually hoping you're right and BERLANGA pulls it off. I'm telling you, man. I got BERLANGA, man. I got BERLANGA putting him. Hey. Yeah, what? How you spell it? How you spell his name? Sheeraz? Nah, put some extra Z's on that thing. Put some extra Z's on that thing. Dub. Yeah, he going to sleep. Sheeraz. He gonna be sleep. I'm telling you, bro. I don't trust Hamzah. I don't trust it either. BERLANGA in 1 is crazy. I don't know about that now. I got BERLANGA in like 8 or I'll say 7. I got BERLANGA in 7. Now I will say this though. The longer it goes on, man, I think that Sheeraz might be outboxing him, you know. But I don't think that, you know, Sheeraz is a good boxer, but I just don't trust his defense. And then I don't know if he's a better boxer than, let's say, Padraig McCrory, the Irishman that EDGAR BERLANGA fought. I'm not saying that he's not a better overall boxer, but I don't think that he brings anything to besides the height and the reach. I don't think he really brings anything that EDGAR BERLANGA hasn't seen or can overcome. Padraig McCrory was a pretty good boxer, you know, and I don't think that him and Sheeraz is that much different as far as boxing skills go, you know. But then Hamzah Sheeraz is probably a more complete fighter, probably has a little bit more power, probably has a little bit better range. But as far as being a slick boxer, I don't think he's a better skill-wise than Padraig McCrory. So he's definitely not better than Cinnamon, you know. EDGAR BERLANGA has definitely shared the ring with a higher caliber opponent in Saul Canelo Alvarez. Even though he put that bing bang boom on him, you know, it's still there's still Cinnamon. So you can't. It's gonna be really hard to replicate that experience if you don't have it. So EDGAR BERLANGA has big show experience. I'm going EDGAR BERLANGA, but I want to say this though. When I was watching the press conference, a lot of people were saying that Sheeraz looked scared. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I've seen a lot of people saying that Sheeraz looked scared. Oh, he punked him. No, bro, it's just a difference in demeanor, man. Like everybody is not a talker, not a trash talker, man. That doesn't mean that they're not good. That doesn't mean that they're out of place. It doesn't mean that they're lacking confidence. It doesn't mean that they're not ready or unprepared. It just means that they're different, bro. Everybody is not a trash talker. Like even, and you know what's crazy to me? Let's me know that people don't really watch boxing like they think they do or like they claim. Didn't the same exact thing happen when Hamzah Sheeraz fought Austin Emma Williams? Maybe remember Emma Williams, the American fighter, was talking trash to him, just like Edgar Berlanga, another American fighter, Puerto Rican fighter, you know, or American fighter. You know, they just have the gift of gab. And remember what Austin Emma Williams was, or Austin Tiger Williams, I think he might have went back to Ammo, whatever. And anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Austin Williams, he was talking trash during the 5v5 to Hamzah Sheeraz, and Hamzah Sheeraz was like, "Hey man, this is a sport, man. We got to fight. We got to talk with our fists." I feel like his demeanor is the same exact way. I don't see any difference in Hamzah Sheeraz. I do think he's going to lose. I do think he's overrated. I do think he was a beneficiary of a robbery, but I'm not going to jump overboard and say that a young man's scared or he's being punked. Like, stop it, bro. Like stop imposing your feelings or projecting your feelings on others, man. It's very hard for me to say that these fighters who choose to fight voluntarily, who actually go and negotiate the fights and line up the fights, that they're scared of each other. Like, stop it. I don't think he's scared, but I do think Berlanga wins. If Berlanga wins, do you think that they will actually make the Canelo What's up, Nick? He said if Berlanga wins, do you think that they will actually make the Canelo rematch? I hope not, because they were kind of mentioning it in the press conference. Yeah, you know, I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, Cinnamon is the face of boxing, right? You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to fight him, you know? So, you know, so shout out to my boy Cinnamon, right? Who doesn't want to fight him? So Edgar Berlanga wanted to fight him, right? Tell me a guy that's in the 154. Let's say from 154 to 175. Who doesn't want to fight Cinnamon? Beterbiev would fight Cinnamon. Bivol would fight Cinnamon for the rematch. Benavidez for sure wants to fight Cinnamon. Morrell at 175. Let's go to 168. Caleb Plant wants to rematch. Sweet Hands Plant. Edgar Berlanga wants to rematch. And Christian and Billy wants the Canelo fight. Diego Pacheco wants a Canelo fight. I'm sure Ozzy Iglesias would love the Canelo fight. You see what I'm saying? Go to 160. Janabek just called out Canelo. You know, so these guys want to fight Cinnamon because he's a cash cow. He's a revenue generator. He's a revenue generator, right? So of course they want to fight him. And I don't knock Edgar Berlanga for wanting to fight him, but there's no reason to fight him. You know, there's nothing like shout out to him. I do think that people don't give him as much credit as he deserves. I think he exaggerates a little bit. Well, or maybe he just lacks awareness. I don't think the fight was as competitive as he makes it seem sometimes, but I cannot say that Edgar Berlanga didn't go in there and play his role. He definitely tried to fight. He definitely tried to win. That's what I meant to say. He didn't just go in there and lay down. He didn't just go in there and submit. You know, he didn't give nothing. You know, he tried to fight. He was just in against a better fighter. That's all. So from that standpoint, I don't mind him wanting a rematch. And plus, he went the distance. He didn't get knocked out. He got knocked down, but he didn't get stopped. And you fought. You go look at Canelo's face after that. It was peppered up. You know what I'm saying? So he got hit a couple times, and so it was a good fight, but it wasn't that good to justify a rematch for me. So if you're asking me, do I think they could make the rematch? I wouldn't be surprised because Cinnamon's not really looking for, he's my favorite fighter, but let's be honest, he's not really looking for the hardest fights. I think the hardest fight that he might consider would be what we're about to see in September, right? Terrence Crawford. And then, sorry, so that's the one that he's considering and that he's going through. But the other fight that he's talking about he wants is Bivol. Outside of Bivol, I don't really see him taking a real tough fight. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say the Bivol fight doesn't happen, that rematch, which I don't think it should happen because I got Bivol beating him again. But let's say that Cinnamon beats Bud, hypothetically speaking. Let's say he beats Bud, and after that he's looking for an opponent. I don't think it's gonna be Bivol or Benavidez or anybody else like that. So I think what I think it'll be is Chris Eubank Jr. If Chris Eubank Jr. Doesn't lose by then, like let's say he has a Conor Ben rematch and beats him, or he has another fight like Billy Joe Saunders, and Billy Joe Saunders fat ass is talking about coming out of retirement. Let's say Chris Eubank has a rematch with Billy Joe Saunders and beats him, then I definitely think that'll add momentum to him getting the Canelo fight. But let's say those fights don't happen. I wouldn't be surprised. Would you be surprised if Canelo fights a Caleb Plant rematch? Jamal Charlo wants to fight him. If Jamal Charlo beats Thomas Lamana, would you be surprised if Canelo goes that route? Or if he goes the route of, I don't know, a Janabek or something like that? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't want it. Hell, I probably prefer Edgar Berlanga rematch over Chris Eubank and Janabek. But like I said, there's just not too many people at the 168-pound division. Like, he's clearly the best in my personal opinion. You know, I mean, that's indicative of him being What's indicative of him being the best is the fact that he's undisputed again. He just beat William Skull. I know a lot of people didn't like that fight because they didn't know him, but I keep trying to tell people, man, a lack of familiarity does not mean that the person's bad. You see what I'm saying? Just because you don't recognize him or you're not familiar with the fighter does not mean that they're not a good fighter. Nobody was familiar with Bivol until Bivol beat Canelo. He didn't suddenly become a good fighter when he fought Cinnamon. No, he was a good fighter. You just didn't know about him. You see what I'm saying? So William Skull, he actually put on a poor demonstration of a good fighter, but he was still an undefeated champion. And that fight was for Cinnamon to reclaim undisputed. That's a good fight. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. But then again, I get accused of respecting the fighters too much, or respecting undisputed too much, or respecting champions too much. So maybe I'm guilty of that. But so yeah, if you ask me, I hope it doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo, we see a Canelo Berlanga too. I would hate that though, brother. I would hate that. I ain't gonna lie. No disrespect to Berlanga, but he doesn't deserve it. His fight was, it wasn't as bad as people say, but it wasn't as good as he says, you know, from a competitive standpoint. You know, I just think it's more so that, hey, I didn't get knocked out, so let's have the fight again. But then again, we get in you know, we get in some fights that we don't really need to see again. I mean, we just saw Emmanuel Navarrete, Oscar Valdez fight again. Why the hell did we get that rematch? I have no clue. Emmanuel Navarrete whooped him the first time, whooped him the second time. I don't even get why that was a rematch. We're about to get a Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano trilogy. You know, I know I felt like Amanda Serrano won the second fight, but in actuality, she lost, so she's 0-2. So why are we getting a trilogy? I don't know. Why did Tyson Fury fight Derek Chisora 3 times? I have no. He beat him all 3 times. Why are we having a trilogy in that? No clue. But you know, so we see crazier things in boxing than a Canelo and Berlanga rematch. So it is what it is. Yo, Doc, can you please stop saying that? What I say, bro? What did I say, bro? What did I say, bro? I apologize, bro. I don't even know what I said. I'm apologize though. What I say, bro? Oh man, shout out to Oscar. Oscar gonna say I'm soft. Apologize. Shout out to my guy Oscar. Problem is Canelo cleared out the division thoroughly. Yep. And now it's kind of like, what the freak now, right? Yep. We all know that he ain't shit at 175, so every fight becomes him punching below his skill set. I kind of disagree with that, man. I agree with the first portion, but it's not that I disagree with the latter part, but I want to add some context and some nuance to that. I don't want to say he's not shit at 175. We got to put some respect on my boy's name now. Come on now. Spam them cinnamons in the chat now. Come on, man. My man went up there and beat the Crusher. Now, Sergey Kovalev wasn't exactly the Crusher. He got crushed by Andre Ward prior to, but still, he was a champion when Canelo went up there and beat him. So let's not act like he wasn't successful at 175 now. You know, and he went up there and he fought Bivol. He got dominated. I know the scorecards reflected, I think, unanimously 115, 113. But let's be real, right? Those scorecards weren't right. It was wider than that. This is coming from a Cinnamon supporter. You know, that's my guy. That's my favorite fighter. But Bivol beat him thoroughly, right? But that's still Bivol. Bivol is on the pound for pound list and he's the undisputed. There's no shame in losing to Bivol. There's no shame in losing to Cinnamon. There's no shame in losing to Terrence Crawford, Nadia Inoue, Usyk, Floyd Mayweather. These greats. There's no shame in losing to that. So Bivol is one of those greats. I do agree with you that he ain't got no business fighting Beterbiev. But would I be mad? Am I mad at Canelo if he thinks that he could beat Bivol? I disagree with him, but I think he probably can. He didn't get knocked out. He just looked like he fought a guy that was once again too big for him, you know? But even in that instance, he was reaching for greatness by moving up. Let's be honest, man. When's the last time Canelo has fought somebody and he was a bigger guy? I'm not just talking about mass, even vertically, right? He usually is a smaller guy. So him fighting at 168 is even, I'm not going to say a reach, but he's usually outsized. Edgar Berlanga, he probably came in that ring at 190 when he fought Canelo. You feel me? You see what I'm saying? So I personally believe that Canelo is better suited at 160. I still think, like I said this yesterday, I think that if Canelo wanted to, I think he could probably make 154. You feel me? So I do agree with you that he ain't got no business at 175, but I'm not saying that because I don't think he could beat some guys there. Like I don't think he could beat Beterbiev. I don't think he could beat Bivol, but those two are representative of the top two. Who would you, real talk combat. If I told you right now, Canelo is fighting Callum Smith, who would you have? I think you would have, well, that's not fair because Canelo already beat Callum Smith. Let me use somebody else. Canelo was fighting, Ezra Taylor, who just won at 175. Who you got? I got Cinnamon, easy. If Cinnamon was fighting, I don't know, give me another guy at 175. That's not Beterbiev. I got him beating Benavidez. Now, I might not have him beating Benavidez at 175 because Benavidez is a bigger guy. But if they fought at 168, I had Benavidez. I had Canelo beating Benavidez at 168. 175, I don't know about that. So I might give you 3. I might say Bivol, Beterbiev, and Benavidez at 175 may beat Cinnamon. But it's not guaranteed, though. You see what I'm saying? If Canelo fought, I don't know, Alexander Vazdik. Alexander Vazdik is a good fighter. I lean towards Cinnamon. You feel me? So like, I don't think that he just goes to 175 and everybody just runs through him, you know. But I do think that, yeah, he'll have a harder time at 175. I agree with that part. Anthony Yarde, that's a tough fight because I think Anthony Yarde, he's so, you know, he's a big guy and he's athletic. I think that's a tough fight for Canelo. Yeah, he might be too big for him. He might be too big for him. I might say Anthony Yarde might be too big. Does Benavidez beat Bivol? Not to me. I think Bivol beats him. No. It's not that time. He ain't shit. It's the fact that if we're already debating him slowing down, him going up would be worse. Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to go up to be great. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep the same energy for everybody. Like, I don't think Terrence Crawford has to go up to be. He's already great. Canelo's already great. Canelo has 67 fights, bro. He's 63, 2-2. You know what I'm saying? He don't have to go up. He could stop fighting. He don't have to fight no more. He don't have to fight no more at all. You feel me? So Terrence Crawford doesn't have to fight no more. Naoya Inoue doesn't have to fight anymore. Usyk doesn't have to fight anymore. Canelo, you know, I would say Bivol and Beterbiev because they still have low fights. But Beterbiev, really, he's 40, but he still has a low amount of fights. So I would say they could still fight a little bit more. But Beterbiev is coming to the end. But a lot of these guys don't have to fight anymore, man. They're already great. So I don't think that's a knock for Canelo to stay at 168. But I don't think that's a sign of cowardice or like, oh, yeah, he shouldn't go up there because he's scared of the challenge. Like, no, if Naoya Inoue wants to stay at 122 and continue cleaning out 122, I'm cool with that. But if he wants to go to 126 and fight a champion there, I'm cool with that too. But his greatness is not predicated off of him moving up anymore. Like, I think sometimes we get accustomed to guys moving up. Like, bro, there's weight class for a reason. There's nothing wrong with staying in your weight class and dominating. I mean, B-Hop is in the Hall of Fame right now because of what? Because of his legendary run of consecutive successful title defenses at middleweight. 20 to be exact. And then Triple G, he's great because of what? Doing the same thing. If I'm not mistaken, Triple G, Gennady Gennadovich Golovkin, I believe that he broke B-Hop's record of 20 consecutive title defenses. I think he got like 22 or 23 or something like that. He's great, and he campaigned in his domain of 160, 168. So you don't have to traverse multiple divisions to be great. That's why I love boxing, because there's multiple ways to be great. Manny Pacquiao, to me, is a legend. He's one of the best. He was a champion at eight divisions. If you don't count interim champions and regular belts, like some of y'all don't count for Tank, then you shouldn't count it for Manny Pacquiao, but I count him. So I say he's an 8-division champion. But if you want to say Pacquiao's a 6-division champion, cool. So let's say he's an 8-division or 6-division champion. That's awesome. But Pacquiao's never been undisputed. Is he not great? Absolutely, he's great. He's a legend. Floyd Mayweather's never been undisputed, but he beat so many champions. It's crazy how many champions he beat and Hall of Famers. He's great, right? Terrence Crawford and Naoya Inoue and Usyk, they didn't go through as many divisions as Pacquiao, but is Naoya Inoue and Terrence Crawford not great because they didn't go through as many divisions? Well, no, they actually been undisputed in 2 separate weight classes. So they're great. And they remained undefeated while doing it. Canelo's not undefeated, nor has he been through as many weight classes as Pacquiao, nor has he been undisputed in as many weight divisions as Bud and Usyk and Inoue, but he's still great too. He's the first ever undisputed at 168. So there's so many different ways to skin the cat. That's why I love it, man. You know, there's multiple ways to be great. There's multiple ways to leave a legacy. There's multiple ways to establish your legendary run, you know, so I love it, man. I don't think you have to do anything one way because this other guy did it, you know, so I just disagree with that. Like, I don't think you have to move to, I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing your limits. You know what I'm saying? And dominating where you're at. In my personal opinion. If Naoya Inoue could beat MJ and Juto, I'll put him right up there. Yeah, I mean, to me, he's already top 3. You know what I'm saying? If he beats MJ, now, okay, I will say this. That's going to be interesting because for me right now, I have it ranked Bud 1, Usyk 2, Inoue 3. But like I said, they're interchangeable. If you have Inoue 1, cool. If you have Bud number 2, cool. Usyk number 3, whatever it is, they're interchangeable because they all have the distinction of being undisputed in 2 weight classes and being undefeated while doing it. So I don't really care what order you have it in. Me personally, I got Bud number 1, Usyk number 2, Inoue number 3. However, because Bud and Canelo fight around the same time as Inoue and MJ, if Inoue beats MJ and beats him convincingly, he might go number 1 for me. You know? But if Bud beats Canelo, then there's nothing that Inoue or Usyk could do to eclipse that, in my personal opinion. However, if Bud loses, I will put him down to 3, but I wouldn't drop him that far because he lost to a guy while going up 2 weight divisions. But I'll definitely put him definitively behind Inoue and Usyk, especially if Usyk reclaims undisputed again by beating Daniel Dynamite Dubois. So this is very interesting, man. Like I said, it's a great time to be a boxing fan, man. We got Usyk and Dubois going for undisputed. in the heavyweight division. That'd be crazy if he beats him again. I know some people are disappointed because it's a rematch, but what do you want Usyk to do? I mean, he's fighting a guy that's the IBF champion right now who's been on a hot streak, Daniel Dubois. It's not his fault that he beat him already. You see what I'm saying? It's not his fault that UK, the U in UK stands for Usyk now. He's been dominating. He's the Baba Yaga of gosh dang England. Of the United Kingdom. He runs the joint. When they tell their kids little bedtime stories about the boogeyman, they talk about Usyk. That's not his fault. You see what I'm saying? You gotta work. You can only fight who's in front of you, bro. You know, so it is what it is. He said, George's Last Patriot, my guy, dropping that bread, that cheese, that butter. He said, wasn't some of Triple G's 160-pound range with minor belts? I think so. I think some of them. I think so. That's a good question. I have to go back and verify, though. Don't quote me, but I think some of them were, yes. Yeah, I think so, George. Irony says, appreciate the $2, my bruh. Yes, sir, man. Dropping that. You know what I'm saying? The graffiti on the chat walls, man. Thank you for turning me up. He said, to me, Nadia anyway is a distant third right now. I agree. And trust me, they ain't no insult. It's not I don't know why people think that's an insult. Top three, what are we talking about? And his last few opponents have been lacking. It is what it is. He said, for him, Irony is 1 Usyk, 2 Bud, 3 anyway. I'm not mad at that. That's a good list. My logic is Usyk in the land of the Giants is still undefeated and more active than Bud. And anyway is on par with Crawford, but just more activity. Yeah, I'm not mad at that, but I think the activity matters. You know, quantity does not make quality for me, you know, and so, yes, he's active, but like I said, when we talk about activity, we're saying activity to ultimately talk about how many times you fought in a career. Terrence Crawford has been a pro longer, so naturally he's going to slow down faster. He's older, so naturally he's going to slow down more, so his activity is going to drop, but he still has more total fights anyway. So, but I mean, if that's how you have it, that's how you have it, you know, but I think that in a way, if Bud was fighting and Usyk was fighting Ramon Cardenas caliber opponents, TJ Doheny caliber opponents, I think people would disrespect them and say, oh, they're not fighting anybody, you know. But I do think that in a way is the beneficiary of fighting in weight class, and that's the thing. Different weight classes have different advantages, have different pros and different cons. People don't pay attention to the lower weights as much, so that's a benefit of Inoue, you know. So I think people don't realize or even care to realize that his opponents have been lackluster. And that's no knock on Inoue. It's just the facts. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? People have no problem. I'm not going down that road again, but it just is what it is, man. Ramon Cardenas is not a high caliber opponent. That was his first title fight. He already had a loss to a guy that was 17-26 and Danny Flores. 26 losses, yes. He fought a guy, TJ Doheny, 4 losses already. So it's just, but I get it, because I would rather see a guy fight multiple times than fight and fight lesser opposition than fight once a year. So I agree. For me, I love to see. I wish I could see Nadia Inoue and Gervonta Tank Davis and Canelo fight every other month. I'm with that. So I get that too. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But for me, I'm a more qualitative person than a quantitative person. So I prefer the quality of opponents more. But it is what it is. But I ain't no knock on Inoue's a beast. So I have no problem. Someone has him at number 1, no problem. But for me, just don't tell me that this guy's number 1 and this guy's not, because this guy doesn't have anybody on his resume. I think that's corny. I think that means that people don't really watch boxing and know what they're talking about. Inoue's last 4 opponents were Neary, Cardenas, not in this order, of course. Neary, Cardenas, Yi Jun Kim, and TJ Doheny. So Doheny, Neary, Cardenas, and Yi Jun Kim. Bud's last 4 opponents were Israel Madrimov, an undefeated champion at the time, Errol Spence, David Avanesian, I believe, and Sean Porter. A Hall of Famer in Sean Porter and a former champion. David Avanesian, he beat a Hall of Famer in Sugar Shane Mosley. He was a contender, though. I think he had like a regular belt, if I'm not mistaken. And anyway, Israel Madrimov was a current champion in a weight class that Terrence Crawford debuted at 154, beat him, undefeated champion. And then Errol Spence was a pound-for-pound Hall of Fame fighter. And then let's look at Usyk's last 4 opponents. Usyk's last 4 opponents were Tyson Fury twice. We all know Tyson Fury's resume. Considered the best of this current era of heavyweights. Who was before that? Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois, and Anthony Joshua the second time. So if you just compare those 4 opponents, and that's what it is, it's based off of recency too, who you've been fighting, then you gotta break it down like that. But shout out to them. The fact that Inoue only fought 1 Hall of Famer, Bud and Usyk have 3+, facts over feelings. Yeah, facts. Shout out to my guy Oscar Perez dropping that bread, that cheese, that butter. that was a great message. The fact that Inoue only fought one Hall of Famer, and let's be real, no disrespect. I keep the same energy though, chat. Tyson Fury is my guy, right? And he's talking about Nonito Donaire, right? Nonito Donaire was old, and you can't say, oh, I'm just hating on Inoue. I say the same thing about AJ, and the same thing about Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury fought Vladimir Klitschko, I said, man, that's a good win, but Klitschko was over the hill. AJ, that's a good win on Vladimir Klitschko. He was over the hill. Joseph Parker, that's a good win because Deontay Wilder, that's a name, but he was over the hill. We say that for everybody. Look, people said that Canelo fought Cotto. He was over the hill. He wasn't as old as gosh dang Donaire. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, if you just look at that, man, I think that it's kind of hard to argue that. But like I said, if you value activity, I'm not knocking that. And the lower weight classes, we say that, oh, he fought more champions and stuff like that. Yeah, but like I said, the lower weight classes, things go unnoticed. This is what it is. Like my guy, Real Talk Combat. I don't know if you're here in the morning, but I just announced that Daigo Higa is about to get a title shot. Daigo Higa, this will be his 3rd title shot in a row. Let me say that one more time. Let me, Flatbush, do you hear me, Flatbush?
What?
Daigo Higa, who's not a champion, is about to fight his 3rd title fight in a row. That would never happen at 147. It would never happen at 160. It would never happen at heavyweight because people notice and they pay attention and they would complain. Daigo Higa fought Yoshiki Takei for his WBO belt. Lost. Daigo Higa turned around in the same division now, bantamweight, 118, turned around and fought Seiya Tsutsumi for the 2nd time because they fought before to a draw. Then he fought Seiya Tsutsumi again for another draw. That was for the WBA belt. WBA belt. And then he's about to fight again for a WBA belt against Antonio Vargas. That would never happen. But Daigo Higa's a good fighter. Don't get me. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that you said you were here. Okay, appreciate you. Like Maloney, exactly. I said Maloney too this morning, bro. So when we realize that stuff is like, it's not to knock anybody. It's just being objective, or what I consider being objective. You know, it's like, okay, bet you're fighting a lot of champions, but you got to understand. At the lower weights, there's more opportunities to be a champion. Like you literally get opportunities to be a champion a lot when you're like 5-0, 9-0. Fumaledi Cafu is a champion. I think he's like 9-0, 10-0. That happens sometimes. Like Israel Madrimov, he was only 10-0, or 10-0-1, right? He had 11 fights. He was 10-0-1, had 1 draw, but he beat Magomed Kubanov for the belt. He had a little bit of, but that doesn't happen that often, right? The lower weights, it's kind of a common theme. Look at Oscar Collazo. He's a unified champion right now. Another champion right now at minimum weight is Melvin Jerusalem. Oscar Collazo already beat him. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just a lot of recycling down there, like you said, like the Maloney. So it's not knocking it. It's just like, okay, bet, you know, the talent pool, I'm not saying they're not as skilled. I'm saying the talent pool is less from a quantitative standpoint, quantity. And so it's more likely that you will fight more champions. You know, we got to be honest too. You feel me? It's like even with Usyk right now. Unfortunately for him, I'm sorry. If Bud beats Canelo, that's more impressive than anything Usyk could do because, hey, he can't go up any further. It's just the truth. It's not his fault, but it is what it is. There's no super duper heavyweight that he could go fight and be a 3-division champion or undisputed champion. Terrence Crawford could go up 2 divisions and fight Cinnamon and potentially become a 3-division undisputed champion. Alexander Usyk is not afforded that opportunity because he's already at the highest division you could be. It's not his fault, but that don't mean it's any less true. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So sometimes we just got to tell the truth, man, and be objective, man. Unfortunately, Usyk is gonna have to fight like a triple threat match in order for him to do something as impressive as Inoue going up and fighting, let's say hypothetically, Inoue going up and beating Tank or something like that. In order for Usyk to do something comparable, he's gonna have to fight Dubois, Ja Pataya, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury at the same time. and that would be, you know what I'm saying? And then he could keep up. But yeah, in a way, if he goes fights Tank, there's nothing that Usyk could do that'd be as impressive as that. When Bud fights Canelo, there's nothing that Usyk could do that'd be as impressive as that. It is what it is. He a big motherfucker. Oh well, it's life. It is what it is, man. It's not fair, but it is what it is, man. Shout out to George's Last Patriot dropping the graffiti on that chat walls with that bread, that cheese, that butter. Yeah, he got to fight a triple threat match, man. You feel me? He got to fight, guys. He got to fight The Rock, Triple H, and Stone Cold. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Or he got to fight The Rock and Triple H and then have Stone Cold as a guest referee. There's nothing you can do, bro. It is what it is. Shout out to my guy George, man. Inoue wins if Chocolatito and Estrada weren't busy. I don't want him to fight Chocolatito or Estrada. Nah. I want Chocolatito Roman Gonzalez to retire, bro. I was so happy that he wasn't fighting Baron Rodriguez. Baron Rodriguez will destroy that man. Juan Francisco Estrada, he don't want no business with anyway. No, don't do that to Estrada. Don't do that to El Gallo. Don't do that to the Rooster. You feel me? Yeah, one night, Flatbush, facts. In one night. What can he do? It is what it is, man. That don't mean that he's not great. It just means that, hey, man, the circumstances are that, hey, man, it is what it is, bro. You feel me? Oh, well. It is what it is, man. One thing about the lower weight classes, they got that activity for sure. Yeah, facts. And that's why I say, like Real Talk, when Real Talk says, hey, man, I like activity. Cool, I'm with you. If you like activity and you put lesser, if you put less emphasis on the quality and you care about quantity, cool. I mean, that's a legitimate reason, in my opinion. I'm just a person that values quality a little more. So, but I will say this: if Inoue fights Njak Madaliev, beats him, if he fights Nick Ball, beats him, and then he fights Junto Nakatani, beats him, that might equal a Canelo win. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying, not historically speaking, but if you talk about right now, that's a gauntlet. If he fights MJ Abadaliev, beats him, Nick Ball beats him, that'd be him moving up to 126, and then goes down and meets Junto Nakatani at maybe 122 or some catch weight or something, and beats him, that's a hell of a back-to-back. I'm talking about that's like MJ with the 2-3, and you know what I'm saying, and 90, 93, 94, 95, or whatever it was, 94, 95, 96, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, the 3-peat joints, one of the 2 3-peats. That's crazy. So I'm saying, like, in the now, it might be a reason to put him number one, despite a Bud win, even though historically speaking, I don't think that anything's over Canelo. Canelo win being Bud, because, you know, Canelo is the man at 168 and the man of boxing, the face of boxing. That's a big hill to climb, my boy. A big steep hill, too. Steep hill. I saw Puma Martinez fight. Honestly, I don't think he could touch Bam, all due respect. That's a great fight, man. I like, shout out to the Argentinian champion, WBA champion, Fernando Puma Martinez. He just beat what's my guy's name? Kazuta Ioka. Yeah, that was a good fight. I think Bam wins. I'm with you. I think Bam beats him, but like I said, Puma Martinez throws everything with intensity, everything deliberately, everything with bad intention. So, yeah, I would have Bam as well, but boy, don't sleep on Puma Martinez, man. I think that's a good fight, man. I think it's a good fight. Bam gonna have to earn that one. I'll tell you that. What time does the game start, chat? I wonder how long a lot of those guys have at that weight. What guys you talk about? Real Talk Combat. My bad. I be talking so fast. I'm sure I probably just said the guys that you're referring to, but I don't be remembering. He said, I did that fight at Undisputed Online and beat the brakes off Chocolatito. You feel me? Don't do that. Don't do that to him. Don't do that to him, George. Don't do that to Chocolatito, man. Chocolatito is a legend, man. Don't do that to him. Where's he from again? Nicaragua, right? Don't do that to the Nicaraguan legend, man. Damn, Rodriguez gonna put that boy in the dirt. Don't do that to him. I ain't even like when he fought El Gallo, to be honest. The Rooster, you know. I think the Rooster needs to retire too. It's crazy because he just moved up to bantamweight, right? El Gallo, and he was ranked number 1 in WBC belt. Ask me who has a WBC belt at 118. That'd be Junto Nakatani. Don't do that to Juan Francisco Estrada. Junto will decapitate that boy. Don't do that to him. Do not do that to Estrada, man. Do not put that boy in there with Junto, man. Junto going to put him to sleep. He a banger for sure. Just too limited in his skill side. Yeah, I agree. Chocolatito the best thing for Nicaragua since Alexis Arguello. I'm with that. But chat, man, I appreciate y'all rocking. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm sorry I had to do a little short one because I am hungry and I just got out the, you know what I'm saying, got done working out and hopping out the shower because I rock with y'all. I want to go warm up my food. And I want to go watch this game, OKC in Denver, baby. I got OKC closing Denver out, man. But I would love to see Russell Westbrook win a championship. So I wouldn't be mad if the Nuggets, under the leadership of Jokic, you know what I'm saying, and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Russell Westbrook wins. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all rocking as always. Don't forget to smack that like button, man. I don't say that enough, but y'all do me that favor, do me that solid, and smack that like button. And consider becoming a member, man, starting at $3 a month. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all some ballers. There ain't nothing to some ballers. I know y'all some ballers. You know what I'm saying? Hold it down, man. Shout out to all the members that already contribute. Big salute to those that dropped the graffiti on the chat walls. Shout out to my guy Clone, starting us off with a nice one, you know what I'm saying, $5 early before you even got the prayer in, man. That's love. Shout out to Clone for dropping the $5 in the chat. Oscar, always my brother. Mi hermano Cardinal, you know what I'm saying, $5 on the chat as well, man, with the super chat. Shout out to you. George the Last Patriot, always coming through, man. George the Last Patriot, always coming through, man. Always first with the love, you feel me? Oscar with the $5, George the Last Patriot with the $2, man. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate that, man. Y'all keep the lights on and keep me going and keeping me motivated. You know, I'm a motivated person, self-starter, but, you know what I'm saying, the love and the support really makes it easier, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all rocking with me throughout this journey. And we only going to the top, man. Let's get to these 3,000 subscribers. We're at what? 2,900, man. Let's get to 3,000 by the end of this month, baby. We're on our way. We had 2,935 according to the count. We need 65 more subscribers, man. So like the video, that helps the algorithm put us out there more. It makes us more visible. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and share the video as well, man, across the social media platforms, whether it's on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, wherever it is. Tell your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your ex-friend, your current friend, your mama, your auntie, your uncle, everybody, man. Everybody that likes boxing, tell them to come to the realest on this boxing side, man. And we the realest because we are family. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all, man. Let's keep it going and growing, man. I appreciate y'all rocking as always. Don't forget to smack that like button once again. But most importantly, remember, with God, we could do anything. And without God, we are nothing. You know what I'm saying? The doctor's out. Peace. Catch y'all tomorrow morning for the morning show, good Lord willing.
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.